Hello, everyone on YouTube. We are live streaming for a very important occasion. An extremely important. I mean, forget your open days, forget 10th anniversary celebrations, forget even Kings of War 3rd edition or Armada launch. The most important day of the year is Ronnie's birthday. Happy birthday, Ronnie!
Yeah, I'm not sure any of that's true, but that was a pretty wooden start there. You're gonna have to think about it, didn't you? You were like, "Hello, YouTube."
Well, I'm always after. Now, anyone who's watched the open day with me will know my first live stream is normally the one that goes wrong. So normally we've only got one this time. So if I mess this one up, then we're doomed.
And you just told me, you see, and I'm going to give away your trade secrets that you're pretending to talk to me, but I'm actually on the screen just off to your left.
Yeah. So if I
you can't see what I'm doing now, you see,
shiftily look like that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Because you're on that screen. I can't see that. I can just again. I'm going to look shifty. It's like in those kind of murder mysteries when if anyone looks a bit shifty to the left, that means that they've done it. So. But yes, we are here with Ronnie, and you're 21. Is it say again, Ronnie?
21 again for the 49th, 39th, 29th time. I think 40 for the 10th time. Certainly, I don't know quite how it happened, but here I am. I'm definitively, knocking on a bit. I think is the English way of it.
So I wasn't quite there. You don't look a day over 21, Ronnie.
Yeah. I don't look a day over 49 and 3/4, you mean?
Yes. And obviously you've brought in some cake today.
Yeah, that was good. That's up on Facebook, a Man City cake, which is, I've been passing out the pieces
you to everybody. You can imagine how that tasted everyone at home if you're not a Man City fan.
The league. So if Matt Gilbert's watching, there's when Gerard had that slip and we ran through and won the league off you, that piece, that cup's on your cake, on your desk now for a taste tomorrow.
I doubt he's watching. He's too busy. You're too busy working him hard.
Yes, exactly. Get him on there. He'll still find the cake tomorrow. The joke will be actually slightly more bitter tomorrow.
It'll be stale. Yeah,
it'll be tasty by then. It's a very nice cake.
And then obviously we've kind of had a little bit of a birthday blog from you yesterday, which we'll talk about in a bit. And then we're doing this today so that people at home can ask you some birthday questions, mainly about what presents you got. I imagine it was all dwarfs.
I will stereotype.
I keep looking that way. Honestly, it's so distracting that you're on that screen.
If put it behind.
I'll sit there like that. There we go. And we'll run through some bits and bobs that's happening at Mantic as well, I guess, because it's been a while since we've done a live stream.
It's kind of time because we're kind of allegedly coming out of lockdown, while in reality still in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And we've been, it's a long one, and I think the vaccines are obviously doing well, and that's giving us optimism certainly for the UK and certainly for some of the events later in the year. But the reality is we're all still in that go to work or sort of stay at home and work, and then come home and continue to stay in, do nothing and not game. And I think that's the one now that's probably, starting to bite. There was a few months of painting your lead under the bed and your grey plastic mountain. But I think we're keen now to start getting back gaming. And, we'll talk about that in a bit more. But certainly there's still a ways to go, really. It's March and we can go to people's gardens next week, but that's about the extent of it. And then a couple of weeks we can go and visit a retail shop. So the shop will be open. But, you can't demo, we can't go to events, we can't have, tournaments and things. Yeah. And I think people really want to get that gaming going back on. And I think, is it May for mixed households? So you can have one mate. So, So I don't know, it's all different around the world. But, I think in most places around the world, mostly people are either in lockdown or being pretty sensible. And while there is some activity in some of the warmer places, I think we're still in our houses.
Yeah. So obviously, it's actually 10 years. So you would have celebrated your 40th at Mantic. So how have things changed since you've been?
So it's slightly over 10 years. And I think last year was the 10-year kind of parties that we did. And again, they kind of got disrupted. We were building up to some big events, and it just keeps disrupting. So. I think it was a different world. It was a pre-Kickstarter world. Warhammer still existed when we launched. I think all of those things have changed. I think the community is just a lot different than it was. I think board games, role-play games, war games, there's a different mishmash and things have changed. I think one of the big things is how flexible, how we've adapted with the times. I think at Mantic, one of the things is, we are small, you have to be nimble, and you have to change the plan. And I think the fact that we're still here, still standing, still swinging is kind of very exciting.
And obviously a lot more games, I guess, since in 10 years.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, at first I don't think we were going to do any games. We were just going to make miniatures. We were just going to make loads of cool minis. And then we got Kings of War and realised that it was pretty good, actually. And then we had the sprues, and so Alessio did Kings of War, the free giveaway guide with us. I've got one of those here somewhere, but that was a late pager with the rule set for the undead and the dwarfs, elves, and orcs.
And you could have like 20 cannons at that point, wasn't it? Something like that.
Correct. Yeah, and everyone had a dark elf assassin in their army. And then Jake wrote a couple of neat little games for us, which was Dwarf King's Quest and Project Pandora, which was with some of our sci-fi figures. Then Warpath came out, and we didn't quite get that right the first time. But it just grew, and then we were working on Dreadball prior to Kickstarter existing. We kind of designed it, but then it seemed madness not to go to Kickstarter because they were all going to be metal. They were all going to be metal figures, and we went to Kickstarter, and they all came out in plastic. And we went from 4 teams to 12, and some monsters and some captains and cheerleaders and ultimates all in the first game. So that was one of our bigger Kickstarters, right? That very first one. It was exciting and crazy and changed everything. And kind of there was definitely a period, I think, from then for the next few years where we were at the mercy of Kickstarter. We'd done a few too many too quick, and then I think we've kind of settled down and calmed down on that front, and we're a bit more sensible about it. And I
suppose the big change is like something like Armada. I guess maybe 2-3 years ago would have gone to Kickstarter rather than straight to retail in some ways.
Yeah, I think it was, and I think that's where you've got to have a balance. There's no right answer. There's not one size fits all. We want to have a retail business, and we want to be able to make our products available week in, week out. I think Dreadball was phenomenal for being on Kickstarter, but then we probably should have released season 4 direct to trade. Whereas we took it to Kickstarter, suddenly there's another 12 teams. Suddenly there's a whole new extreme version of the game, and everyone's overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Now, in the first game, there was loads of energy, there was loads of things. 12 teams was enough. Suddenly, not 6, but 12. But actually, on that game, it was enough. But you then just needed a little bit of development each year to keep changing the meta. So I think that was one where Kickstarter kind of damaged what we'd done, and instead of building on it with the second one, we should have been there. Armada was different. I mean, that came a little bit out of the situation with COVID. I also think it was something we wanted to do in resin, because I don't think that we wanted to hit that absolute super high quality of Armada. And so resin seemed like the right route, and the volume seemed to make sense. And then, of course, we did well with it, and we've been very, very, very busy delivering it, and delivering it in difficult times with the pandemic and how people could work and making sure they were safe in the working environment and everything else. So yeah, it's been a crackers bonkers journey, but we're still here, we're still standing. We've done some licensed products with Walking Dead and Hellboy, phenomenally successful and very exciting. We've done things like Armada. We've got Kings of War, Vanguard. On the other side, we've got Deadzone on the sci-fi side, and working on Warpath. And I think it's a nice mix of exciting things and things in the background like Terrain Crate that rumble on. So all good.
Yeah. So so how have you spent your birthday so far? We may as well get the birthday things out of the way.
Yeah, well, when you get to this age, I think you stop counting, actually. So I got some presents and I got my cake, and I think it'll be a takeaway for tea, but nothing too glamorous. And for me, well, what the heck are you? I've had 48 other ones, and I lost last year's because actually it was this day last year that we went into lockdown.
Yeah, of course, it's a year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, a year today. And but my daughter was 18 last year, so she's in her second birthday in lockdown, which is kind of not a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, we're all together. Everyone's healthy and everyone's well, so you can't ask for more, can you? Really? I think we're working our way through Band of Brothers again. I've not seen that for a while, so that came out at the weekend. And we're watching some of the classics because I think we've watched all the good stuff on Netflix and Amazon Prime. You need to go back and pick some others up and need to get going on a bit of hobbying. I did two fleets for Armada, which I was very pleased with.
Yes, I've seen. I mean, that's the most you've painted in.
Well, certainly, I've not painted 2 factions for anything for a very long time.
I mean, you haven't painted one for some.
Occasionally done, but another fleet as well. So, but I want to play it, and so I think we'll talk about that in the Get Back Gaming later. But really keen to play some games,
Actually, this is a good question. I'm going to pretend this was mine. This is actually from Bob Point. But what's your favourite memory from the past 10 years at Mantic? I'm going to pretend that was mine. You can only choose one.
Okay. So, I mean, there's been a load.
Obviously, when I started, we'll say that's number one.
Obviously, that was the high water mark. Everything's been downhill since then.
So you can have number 2.
So I think they're usually being out and about at the shows and talking to people and seeing the communities. And there's been some standout moments. I remember when we launched the Elves, they were a real Marmite. And mostly quite a Marmite that most people kind of were excited about them, saw them and went, I'm not keen. So probably a Marmite, but 70-30. And so I was really worried. We'd worked really hard. We'd done all of this effort and what was it going to happen? And oh my God, we were facing it. And then Undead came out. And I think the very first Adepticon. And I'd never been to Adepticon, and it was a 40k stronghold really, but there was a little row of about 6 tables where there was vendors, and we turned up, and half of it was purple because if you remember the Undead were all with that purple art in those days. Was it Morgoth in those days, and the other half was green and white with the elves. And at the end of the show, one half was entirely empty, and one half was the elves were still there. And I thought, okay, it was just the elves. It wasn't what we were trying to do. It's just we hadn't got that right. And I think that kind of started the love affair with there's no better way to find out what's going on than being there, standing in the room. And so I remember when Kings of War 2 had been chosen as the game for the Midwest America to be, they were going to play that next year. And I went to their last Warhammer event just to make sure they didn't change their mind and stay with it. And I said, no, go with Kings of War. And they were down at the, they were down in the Alamo, San Antonio. And I went there and we had a great time. And seeing fantastically how creative they were, how the games were, and seeing that these guys were going to go over to Kings of War. And that took a whole community with them. I think standing at Salute in the UK when we launched Walking Dead, and we launched it back in the October, November, and we had a queue all the way around the block as people were coming in for a hobby fix of the Walking Dead.
2017, I think that was.
That's 17. Yeah. So it's all about the shows. Going into, a couple of years ago, I went to, California, and some guys were having I don't know how they did it, but they had about 20 people in their house dotted around playing games. He converted his whole house over, and I went and saw how they were playing, what armies were playing. Lovely time. Last year down to Oz, seeing Clash of Kings in Australia, community going strong down there. So I think those are the big memories. It's seeing the games being played and seeing your products on the shelves and, big moments and exciting moments. And, it's just, that's kind of what it's about.
Yeah. So actually, we've kind of mentioned this a little bit, and you mentioned this in your blog yesterday. So we're hoping, obviously when we went into lockdown, we had quite a lot because we kind of expected people would be spending a lot of time at home. So we had a lot of the solo play rules for things like Negan and Hellboy. Yeah. So now, as you mentioned earlier, we're hopefully sort of starting to see the end in sight. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Blinking.
It's a very long tunnel, and it keeps turning every time we go down. But we are kind of hoping to get back to gaming. So you've mentioned Get Back Gaming,
and there is some already gaming. Aussies are there, and they're getting events going on, and parts of America they're making big progress. But yeah, I think talking from the UK and talking generally, it's that getting back gaming kind of idea. And what it feels like is that I know you and I, with that first lockdown, you did your gobos, I did my dwarfs, and I did the gaming table, and you obviously did a lot more goblins than I did. I did about 1 unit of dwarves, but it finally, I nearly finished my army, which is why we nearly had the apocalypse.
Yeah.
But I really did enjoy doing the gaming table. It's something I wanted to do, and if we hadn't had lockdown, at the end of the day, I could turn the computer off. I was at home, and we'd just get painting some stuff. And then actually, the summer came, and we had our game, tight, close draw, just a dwarf victory, I think, but.
You're breaking up actually, Ronnie. I think what you said was it was a clear win to the evil side. Yeah.
But it was, and then it felt like we were kind of coming out of it. There was the summer, and out we were going, and that was it. We'd paid our dues, we'd done what we had to do. So then November came round, it's a dark night, we're back into it again. As that happened, actually, Armada was shipping. And so that gave everybody...
Pun intended.
Boom. I think that gave everybody a little bit of a new, exciting hobby to get on with. And it wasn't big commitment, both cost-wise and effort-wise, get them clipped off, lovely models, a little bit of hot water sometimes to bend them out, but good hobby projects, and on you go, some painting. Then Christmas comes around and bosh, we're in a hard lockdown, and it's January and it's February and it's March. And I think, like I said, I did my second fleet, but I've now, I want to game, and I'm not a huge gamer, but I just want to see people playing, and I want to see. And so I think we need that motivation to get back on the horse, set a date up. So I know you've got the tickets went up for Clash of Kings.
Yep.
And how's that going? I think that's...
But, I mean, we were advised to just do 70 to begin with, just in case there's any kind of social distancing. And at this moment, at 23 minutes past 4 on a Tuesday afternoon, there are 5 tickets left. So it's almost gone. So we've got 65 people keen to play, which is great.
So,
fantastic.
See, we've got the restrictions. We'll open 30 more if we can, but straight away, they've gone. People want a game, and we've got, I know Sharad's got his Battle Masters all sold out. We've done another event down in London on the same day.
Grand Tournament, which is going well as well.
Because actually, that's doing well. Because actually, people want to get out and they want to get those armies that they've painted, or finish those armies that they've started. And you want to play, and you want to roll some dice, and you want to have some beers with your mates, and do that gaming thing that we like doing. And we've not done it for a year. We've not done it casually. We've not done it in a tournament. We've not done it at a club. It's been a long time. Even if there was a bit of it, it feels a long time ago. So I just thought we can only work at the pace we can work, what the government lets us do. But if we use the logo Get Back Gaming, it covers all of our games. So each one can champion whichever one they're keen about. Yep. So I'm keen about Armada. And as you know, I don't know how to play, and I've not read a rule book in 52 years.
Which game are you talking about? You don't know how to play?
So I thought, well, look, actually, normally you'd get your demo at your local gaming club.
Yeah.
Your local game, you'd lean over some guys playing, you'd say, oh, go on, what's going on? Or you'd have come to Salute, or you'd have come to Adepticon, and we'd have had tables set up there. And those that were interested would have seen, learnt, and taken it home.
Yeah.
And they start gaming with people. That's not happened. We've not had that interaction. We've not had a chance to show off our fantastic games. And so I thought, and there's other people that bought it, loved it, but like me, reading a rule book is hard work compared to getting someone to run a demo with you.
Yeah.
So, you need that. So what I'm planning on doing, for example, with that is Clive Stone, who's a great player, he's played a lot, he's put some battle reports up, he's a big fan of Armada. He's going to teach me to play.
Yeah.
And we're all going to set it all up. We're going to get our fleets out.
Good luck to him.
Yeah. Well, you're going to try and teach me the basics. Let's start with that. And I want everyone to get their kit out and set it up and put the things down, and we'll have a picture and say, put it out like this. And we'll all just roll the dice and do the idiot guide to what does this mean on the card? Yeah. Why does it do that? How does the wind work? What's the phases? What's the turns? And we'll just because then when your lockdown ends, wherever it is in your local area, you can go to your club and say, I've got my fleets painted, lads. Come on, who's playing me? I'm going to teach everybody. And then all of a sudden, there's 3 or 4 of you playing it. You have your fleets, and it can be the next game for the next 8 or 12 weeks. And we've got a lovely release schedule. It looks beautiful. I mean, absolutely gorgeous and visually very different than anything you've played before. You know, it's on the sea. The boats look terrific. The rules are very slick. It's a good game, and it deserves to get some support and to make sure that we've lost that initial hype. But actually, as we come out of hibernation, those that have an interest and are leaning into having a few games and running it down the club for a couple of months can pick it up and run with the ball. And I know you've got plans for games as well, and Martin has. And
yeah, I mean, things like Dreadball. I mean, obviously we released Magnetar Circuit, which has done well, but it'd be great to actually have a league using all that stuff, you know, using all the head coach and all those things. So I think once you mentioned this earlier on, but once Mantic HQ itself is open, then we can get some people in and start playing that. So actually, it's probably worth talking about Mantic HQ a bit, I guess.
I was going to say, should we do that? Then we talk Vanguard as well, because that's another game that's getting some love. So what's the plans for Mantic HQ, Rob?
So in line with government regulations, we have to add that all the time, we will be, well, actually, we're going to be decorating and kitting it out. So anyone who's been to Mantic HQ will know that actually before lockdown, Elvis was doing a really good job of getting the club night up and running on a Friday night. And then unfortunately we had to stop it all, which was a shame because I think people were getting used to that regular sort of gaming session. But we're going to be doing that again. We're going to be decorating the hall, kind of getting some bigger tables as well, so we can start to have more tournaments. But the idea is it's from April the 12th, we'll be open for just browsing for the shop, so the shop will be back up open. Then from May, we can start to do demos.
We open Tuesday through Sunday, is that the plan?
Well, I think actually we'll be open all the time. So the hours will be up on the website. So some days, obviously when we can do demos, we might not be able to do demos, but the store will be open so people can pop in and pick up.
And because it's a big store, I think it was quite nice. There's a big square footage, so you know we can get a good number in. So if you're in your car, if you're furloughed, or if you got your day off, or if it's the weekend and you want to get away from home, as we all do, jump in your car and come down and see us. And we'll be there to chat. We'll be there to shop, hang around. We can't possibly run demos in this first few weeks.
Yeah.
But when we get started, there's a nice big shop there, and it's just good fun to get out and come and browse the shop and have some fun. And I think we've got, you know, some of the River Horse stuff. We've got other range. We've got Vallejo paints.
Yeah, Army painter. Yeah, which is useful. Yeah.
So you need your hobby stuff restocking. So yeah, I think the first one is we're going to be open. It's going to look different than it ever has. We'll have some carpet tiles down. I mean, posh beyond measure.
Wow. I never thought the day would come. And the floor no longer wobbles either, which is...
Yeah, we fixed the floor, so that's good. Then demos starting in...
April. So I think May, sorry, we can start to do demos. So if you... with rule of 6, isn't it, for that one? So if you want to find out how to do Armada, Elvis will be doing demos. And then June, assuming that things go well, we'll actually start opening up for tournaments and kind of themed weekends as well. So like Ronnie was saying with Armada, we might have an Armada weekend, we might have a Dreadball weekend, and then start to do some tournaments as well, which I think will be really good because we were just starting to get the tournaments going. We had to cancel, sadly, a sold out Dreadball, a sold out Vanguard one. So get those back up and running. And
nice 20 people, come along. We're getting a license. We'll be able to have a drink. And
sounds dangerous, but that's fine.
Yeah, what could go wrong? And just you mentioned a Vanguard tournament there, and I think Vanguard is getting some, you know, attention at the moment, isn't it? I think what's happened with Vanguard?
So this week we've got the Vanguard kind of revised rulebook. So if you read the blog yesterday, I'll quickly kind of go through that. But so it's been a couple of years since Vanguard came out, and in that time we've obviously had errata, we've done new factions. So the book has sold out, its latest reprint. And we decided that rather than just reprint the same book again, Matt Gilbert went through and has actually kind of incorporated those changes into a new rule book, which is now available. So it's a softback rule book. It's incorporated the Ice and Iron campaign, all that sort of stuff. And then also tomorrow we're doing some solo play rules. So if you haven't played Vanguard, want to give it a go, that's actually a pretty good way to learn how to play and try out some factions as well. Because, I mean, I suppose the great thing about Vanguard, and you'll agree, Ronnie, is a great kind of intro game. You know, you get introduced to the world of Panathor, you learn about the factions and all that, and you know, it's not a big hobby project really. You just need like 10 models. So that and sort of Deadzone are really good for that sort of thing.
Good, yeah, absolutely. It's a great recruiter, isn't it? And I think it's a good little dip in, lovely models, and you can get up and going. And I think putting, you know, we thought, why reprint Fahrenheit, put it all in one book.
Yeah.
And
it's half price. It's half price for the first month as well. So if you've never played Vanguard and want to give it a go, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better time.
At the beginning, because of the number of factions, we hadn't got enough rules, so you could go and get your old filthy, old dirty miniatures from some other company. But now it's back in that zone, and if you want to give it a try, the rules are there for free. If you actually want to play it, you're there. So it's a nice little hobby project if you want to, you know, combine some of the Mantic models with some of your old ones, or get an old warband going. But as a game, it's got a lot of legs. It's got a lovely little play. It's a little slicker now because it's a kind of 1.1, 1.5, just a little bit evolved. But all the erratas in there. The rules are priced. If you bought a digital copy, go along and download a new one.
That's right. I don't think. Yeah. So basically, anyone who's had a digital copy from the website, we're going to update that for free because we're just so blooming kind, Ronnie.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and actually, sorry, Jerry says solo rules going to be in the new book or on the website. They will be on the website. So the idea is we're going to release a solo scenario tomorrow. If that goes down well and people like it, then we'd love to do more of that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, the book doesn't have new content per se. It combines Axe and Iron and the original rule book, and it's just cleaned up.
Yeah.
It changed the word, or the errata changed, or we just explained the rules better. We put all that in, so it's there. So hardcore fans, why wouldn't you pick it up? It's, you know, it's not particularly the next month. It's diddly squat. If you're getting started, start with this version because it's spot on. And going forward for the next couple of years, there's your rule set.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not new content per se. We didn't want to force anyone into the only way you could get the new content was going down that route.
Yeah, obviously the Ratkin have just come out not that long ago, so it's a brand new faction, and we have said this. So the Salamanders are coming out soon as well, and that's an interesting faction as well. It plays very differently to some of the other ones.
Good. And so what's next? What are we talking about now?
I guess you can talk a little bit about, we've got this Wear Our Spring Clean on at the minute, just in case anyone wants to pick up some stuff on there.
Yes, we've. One of the things that has been a challenge through the whole COVID period has been supply. That's both from China. They were closed for 3 months, so stuff that we expected in the middle of summer didn't arrive until October, and that stuff in October, you know, they never quite caught back up again. So everything's been bumped, and that's why, you know, League of Infamy is running a little bit late. So apologies to all of you backers with that. It just simply was the whole world stopped for 3 months, and everything just shunted backwards. And then because it all stopped, then all the boats were in all the wrong places, and costs started escalating, and machines weren't running, and they were doing something else. So we did have a real tough time over the last 9 months just getting our items in from China and getting them delivered at the right time to the right place. And then of course Brexit happened, and they gave us a full 2 weeks notice of all the new rules, and that 2 weeks was over Christmas. So when we came back, who knew what was happening? And now the rules seem to change every hour and every day. But so we did actually stock up a bit, and we also need to clear out some of the old things that have been around. So we had that Terrain Crate 2 Kickstarter last year, which we shipped out. And as always, we slightly overship. We slightly overbuy in case there's damages, or they do round numbers. So if we had 1,723, we'll order 1,800 because that's how they'll make it. And so I think you've got your Spring Clean clearance, which has got the Terrain Crate 2 stuff. There's a few Star Saga games there, just getting people getting back gaming. It's a nice little intro game before you jump back into full war games and everything. There's still a couple of months of lockdown left, and I think there's some Negan on there as well, is there?
Yeah, I mean, Star Saga is a great one because you get the Deadzone faction as well, so you get Maison Labs, and you get, even if you just want the terrain, there's a little bit of terrain in there to scatter around your Deadzone board.
I think at that price, I think you get, well, it's almost whichever way you get there, everything else, 75% of it is free at that price.
Cutting our own throats for that one.
Yeah, but we just need the space. We've got these boats coming in. We had our terrain cruise boats coming in Jan, and then another one in March. Both arrived in March. So we're just trying to clear out some space. So dive on there and grab it while you can. Grab it while it's hot.
Goes off at the end of the month, that one.
Yeah, and I think during March there's a 50-50.
Almost, yeah. So to celebrate your 50th, or so your 21st, so any order basically placed in March will be eligible for, we're going to choose 50 people who will get a 50% off voucher for their next order. So, nice little competition to celebrate,
No minimum spend, and we're trying to avoid all of the rules about what you can and can't do, which is just basically randomly 50. If you placed an order of any value in the month, as long as it's not a Mantic point, as long as there's products on it, I think we will be picking it and sending you a voucher, which you get 50% off your next order.
Yeah. So that'll be the end of the month, so we'll keep an eye out for those in April.
I don't know why you went 50 and 50 and everything, because I'm 21, but there we are.
So it should have been 21. Yeah, 21% off doesn't have quite the same ring to it.
That's what it was.
21 people win 21% off.
So what the hell? We rounded up.
Yeah. So actually there's quite a lot going on. And then also kind of going back to your Get Back Gaming stuff, we've got our virtual open day event, which is we've had 2 of those now. Obviously we were forced to do those during lockdown, but actually the response to them has been,
in some ways, I think we've realised that it's a bit selfish just having them on site, because it leaves 99% of our fans ostracised, really. And then we didn't have live streams going on or the Q&A online as well, and I think the last one was great. So we're going to do more of that. We will still do our online ones, but we're going to do offline at the same time or in parallel, because actually the Q&A is far more relevant to the bigger audience than it is to just the people that are there. So we will have some fun. Obviously, we won't be open again. So what date's that, Rob? So
that is the 10th of April.
Okay. So on the 10th of April, we'll be having another online announcements, cool things, what's going on, some freebies and giveaways of exciting nature. So that's good. And it's just celebrating. I think this was my first not hat. There was a few of those kicking around, but that was where, it was a year ago when we lost our first open day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been met, I think.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to, what we're probably going to do this time is to make it easier for everyone to join in, because we realise not everyone can join us for the day. We're probably going to spend the afternoon, so we'll have slightly shorter segments, but we've got some really kind of exciting stuff to show for that one. We'll have some firefight news, which I think we've already teased before. We'll have a roadmap for Armada, for what's coming out for that, Vanguard, Kings of War, and then I'm sure you'll have some bombshells to drop as well, Ronnie.
Only if you tell me to these days.
Yeah, I know. You're very well behaved most of the time, actually. So April the 10th, we'll kind of put that on the newsletter and things like that. But I think that'll be a good one, and I think that is definitely one you don't want to miss, particularly if you're a sci-fi fan.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, I think there's some good sci-fi stuff coming up, isn't there? There's going to be some activity and cool things going on, so that's good. Good. And what's next? What we're going to talk about next.
I think we've kind of done our list of... we obviously talked about Clash of Kings. We talked about there were 5 tickets for that one. Let me have a look, see if we've got any questions from people.
Yeah, that's fine. Some Q&A, I suppose. So
yeah. And I've just questioned you.
I've been asking you questions, but maybe we should take some from the...
So just entertain the crowd a minute, Ronnie, while I get...
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to tell you about. We've got a little Kickstarter coming up.
Oh, we did have one question. Go on.
Well, you wanted the questions. So we've got a Kickstarter coming up, which is going to be the... Am I allowed to fess up here, or do I have to keep it hinted at?
No. This Kickstarter is common knowledge. Not necessarily the date, but it is common knowledge it's coming up.
Yeah, well, we've got to sort the date out. But as you know, we've done most of the graphic novels in the Hellboy storyline. And that ended with the Fire and the Fury. It ends with the Storm and the Fury. So that kind of initial kind of storyline, yeah. Yeah, and that's that kind of storyline arc. And we want to see the whole thing through because, we kind of got excited and it felt a little unfinished. So we're going to be looking at diving into those comics at the end of the story, the Grugach and the Nimue in dragon form. Ooh, what could that mean? Watch this space. So we've kind of got the finishing of the Kickstarter story. We did the Wild Hunt direct to retail, but we think this would be better taking it out to the Kickstarter crowd. Also, by this point, you've got a huge, beautiful set of assets that are, a quasi-RPG. And as you know, we did the RPG itself.
Yep.
But there's a lot of people that want to do BPRD adventures. And I think there's a lot of people that want to have more alternative interactions in their games. So I think we've dived into that with BPRD agents.
Yeah, that's fine. You can say that. Yeah.
Right. And anyway, lots of exciting things to enhance and finish off your board game collection, which is just wonderful. But we also thought, what else can we have? And one of the things that I think is just going to be jolly exciting, and I've been playing for a while. If you've been to a Mantic open night, you might have played it. But, a travelling, playing at any point game. And it's a very simple game. You use your dice and you pick how many of those you're going to use to beat the monster that you'll be fighting against. I'm not going to go into too much detail today, but
I guess it's a bit like boiling down the kind of board game which is exploring a spooky mansion. This is sort of like boils it down into some cards and things like that.
Super concentrated juice. So
yeah, pushy look.
You get 2 clues. When you get to a certain number of clues, you've won. If you don't kill it, you take a wound. And when you've taken 3 wounds, you're dead. And you got to pick how many dice you're going to throw of your selection, and then you throw them, and then if you get enough, you get the card, but you don't use those dice again. They go on to the person alongside you. So you kind of got to get as much wins as you can with your dice. Definitely not a drinking game. Definitely not a drinking game. In no way.
Does that explain your hangover this morning, Ronnie, that you were playing that
exactly.
last night?
I have actually played it with the kids. We were all out there saying, what should we play? There's a little after dinner game one night. And I was like, I know what we're going to play. We're going to play one of our own games. So it's great fun. And that's going to be in the Kickstarter. That's going to be one of the kind of like, get it now, little treats. This is the rules section. So lovely, genuinely 2 pages of rules. And I have one here. And that's got the dice in there, and it's got the cards in there.
Hang on, is that one of my special demo copies, Ronnie?
Yeah, I've stolen them up. And someone's going to win it. So if you leave a comment down below in his YouTube, when we go home on Friday afternoon, we will look and we will randomly select somebody. I don't know how we'll do. I usually use dice on that. It's like, cut it in half, 1 to 3, and
I'm sure there's apps so you can do it now.
Yeah, we'll find some way, and we'll bung this in the post, and then someone can have a go of our never released, never seen before, except if you're a Gen Con games. They're not Hellboy drinking game.
Cool.
So I think that's it.
Make sure you leave a comment below, and you might be in with a chance of winning that.
Yep. Anything before Friday, close of play on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we've actually got quite a few questions now, Ronnie. So first of all is, will there be kind of like an online, we were planning an online campaign for Kings of War last year. Obviously never happened because people couldn't play. I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you anyway. Are we going to do that this year?
Rob, why don't you answer that one?
Well, thank you, Ronnie. Yes, the plan is definitely to do that this year. The intention last year was to actually use Halpy's Rift as the kind of online campaign. So if you've read that, you'll know it was kind of all about the Abyssal Dwarfs going too deep and too far and unleashing the rift, which was then everyone was a bit cheesed off about. So obviously everyone was going to flock to the Halpy Mountains to, I guess, kind of get a bit of that magic themselves and use that for their nefarious or courageous means. So we definitely want to kind of tell that story and see what happens. So we are going to be doing, it may not be a full month because obviously we realise it's possibly quite tight, but we'd love to do something like the old online campaign weekends or an online campaign week, just to galvanise everyone and get everyone playing. Might need some practice games in before a tournament as well. So
it's kind of part of our get back gaming, isn't it? It's getting back in the saddle, having a few games. The tournament's going to be kicking off. There wasn't huge changes between the original game because we didn't have a lot of gaming last year, which is one of the things. But we've got the Halpies book out. It's a great game. It's a good narrative. It will move the storyline on, as it always does, and that'll be reflected in the next book that we're working on. But we'll have kind of the 2 alternatives of whether, depending on who wins, who will get the extra assets, and we'll go from there.
Yep.
And it's a case of just, kind of rolling the dice, getting back gaming, having some beers. I'm sure clubs and communities can pick up on it and use it as a thing. So we'll be having some info coming out next few weeks.
It should be. We're part of the. It'll definitely be part of the kind of get back gaming message. So I mean, the current plan is to do something around kind of August time. Hopefully, then we'll have opened up and people will be a bit more confident to meet up. So kind of keep an eye on that one.
Great.
This is definitely one for you, Ronnie. Any Walking Dead spoilers?
Oh yes. So I mean, we're Kingdom. Let's just go straight to the chase. We're going to do the Kingdom next. It's going to be exciting. I think it's great for both games. There's a whole load of stories there and scenarios, and also it's a compelling faction because it's the first cavalry faction for Call to Arms. So it very much ticks both boxes. We've just done the Whisperers. We are getting those back in stock. It's one of those things that we've been struggling with, and I know that people are patiently waiting. We've had an order in since September and October on cards, and we just haven't been able to get them. But we've got a new supplier that's going to be bringing them in, and so you should have those back in very, very soon. We've got all the resins cast. We're just waiting for the cards on those. It's heartbreaking, but big Kings of War. And actually, we're out of stock of the 2-player set at the moment, so we're bringing that back in. And so in June, with the Kingdom, we'll have some activity. We'll have the game back in. Obviously, the Here's Negan game that you can get now at a special discretionary price from our clearance sale available now. You get Negan's faction in there. You get all the gameplay. I think in the what's that book called? Anthology. Thank you, posh word. The anthology's got how to play Clearing the Prison with Rick.
That's on offer as well at the minute.
Pardon?
That's on offer as well at the minute as well.
Oh, there you go. So go in there and grab up some of those lines are exciting. So Walking Dead's looking good, and I'm working on the next faction and next storyline. And I don't want to give anything away, but if I could, Clementine, Clemmy when she grows up would be just awesome. And I think now they own the IP back for that. They're looking at it. So it's on my to-do list, but I thought that would be a great place to go next. That's a great story arc. I've got it on my computer right here. It just doesn't seem to... It works better on your tablet than it does on your PC for some reason. And I did it, but I couldn't get it to work. But we'll play that through again and hopefully could get some of those. Duck needs to be done and a few of the other sculpts need to get done.
So we've got a few questions actually. Obviously, we've done Vanguard kind of 1.1. A couple of people asked if we will do Deadzone 2.5. I mean, that'd be nice, I guess.
I think it might more be a Deadzone 3.0. I think, we love Deadzone. I love Deadzone. It's a fantastic game. I don't think there's any game like it where the interaction between the terrain and you moves it to a whole new level. Boom, boom.
The terrain is almost the third player, isn't it, really?
Well,
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we did that with The Walking Dead with zombies.
Yeah.
There's you versus the PvPvE.
Yeah.
And actually, in this one, the terrain isn't an inconvenience. It isn't something you just hide behind. It's part of the game. You're in an urban combat environment. And I think it just works beautifully. So keep watching this space. As Rob said, it's going to be a big sci-fi year this year. So keep watching.
So let's have a look. We've got some more questions. People saying what's coming next after Empire of Dust for Vanguard. I guess we might have some of that on the open day.
Yeah, and we're going to double down on some of the fleets that we've done. Maybe big ships. And I don't know how much I'm hinting at here, but that is going to keep getting. And then
it sounds like they'll fly off the shelves, whatever that second thing was.
Oh, nice! Really. And then in the twilight of the year, but not that late actually, there could be something happening there with the pointy.
I don't think people.
Yeah, can't. So exciting stuff for Armada. Believe you me, we're going to be. That's going to be going on throughout the year. We very much. I'm excited. I don't. It's such a good game. It looks fantastic. Like I say, it's very different than people have got. Easy to get into. Lovely hobby project. We don't want it to lose its place in the line because it was released, just before lockdown, and no one's been able to play it for 6 months. So it's kind of top of my flag waving list at the moment.
Yeah.
Although nobody in the casting department will thank me for saying that because we've not let them out of that room for about 7 months.
So we've had a few questions for this. I mean, I'm like so League of Infamy. There'll be an update this week about the Kickstarter. That's all kind of hopefully shipping very, very soon. Everything's back in.
Hopefully it is shipping soon. We got the cards and the gigas that need to be added. So we said, look, let's add these, particularly with all the problems we're having with shipping into Europe at the moment. And if you start having to do 2 and multiple shippings into Europe, it would just be a nightmare. So we've got those items have just arrived or just arriving in the next couple of days. The gigas, they've been flown over. We've got a couple of cards. We've got an update in there for you. And we're just going to be shipping tail end of next week. And it'll be probably 3-4 weeks of shipping. We're working to make sure that it's still EU friendly. You know, when we did it, it was supposed to be out tail end of last year. That didn't happen. So there we are. It's coming. We apologise for being late. Normally I fess up and say we didn't print it in time and we didn't do this and it was our fault and we underestimated that. We were pretty good on it, I'll be honest with you. It's just the events conspired against us and headwinds and everything else that was going on made it just impossible. And then Brexit has thrown another curveball on there. So, but we're very close, and it'll be days and weeks before you've got it in.
A few people asking as well if we'll do the League of Infamy, some of the League of Infamy models maybe in Vanguard. Because obviously we've got the actual cards for the villains will be coming out this week. So hopefully we'll have things like, if you want to play as the villains in Vanguard, you can do. And then, maybe it might be nice to have things like the Pond Warden. I really like that model. That's a toad.
What's great about all these games is that they give us some new plastics.
Yeah.
And those plastics have legs and arms and shields and heads and helmets. So, we as always, we cross-pollinate and use them as best we can and make sure they're available in as many different formats for many different games as makes sense.
Actually, that's
keep watching this space.
Yeah, it ties into one question. Obviously, we had halflings in League of Infamy. Anything else happening with those? Or
well, I mean, halflings are definitely marching off to war, aren't they? I think we're excited by them, and I think tune on the open day, and you might find out there's
poor man's goblins, halflings.
Whoosh, brutal.
On that bombshell, shall we? So let's have a look. So, this is interesting, Ronnie. Andrew Wajansky, obviously Dreadball player extraordinaire, says if your 50-year-old self could give one piece of advice to your 40-year-old self, what would it be? Wow, that's deep. That's deep for like.
I was going to say, don't do it for a soldier company. Set up Deliveroo. Do something else. Go do something in technology. I don't. That's a knockout blow on your birthday. I don't know. Enjoy the journey. I don't know. It's I kind of enjoy what we do. This is what we do. It is what it is. I think I thought when we put the flag up the flagpole, there was kind of quite a bit of discontent when I left GW about the the pricing and the way they were behaving and stuff like that. And I think in many ways Mantic was an antidote to that, but you forget that it took them 30 years to build up, and it was people being frustrated. The loyalty was there, and so I think I thought it would have grown quicker, and therefore I probably tried to do things the wrong way. And the reality is, that slot was never available. This is about enjoying what you're doing and enjoying it because that's what you like doing, and I think that's the reality. And I think now, that's what Mantic is. I think I love interacting with our fans, and our fans love interacting with ours. And I think what you did during the lockdown, where we were giving away the free solo rules and giving rules away to allow people to game, and I think that really people respected us for doing that. And I think it kind of marked us out, and it was a good reflection of the type of company we are. And so I'd probably say to myself, be Mantic from day one, and only Mantic. And I think you will be. It will be a better journey than trying to not be GW.
Yeah.
And I think now we've found our own skin. That's what we are, and that's what we do.
Well, I think on that note, Ronnie, I think we've gone through most of the questions. So thank you very much. Are you going to go and have some birthday drinks now? I guess. Or were you drinking all the time secretly while...
Yeah, I've been slurping, having this water getting...
vodka. And so should we schedule in our 60th one?
Oh, geez, don't even start. That is unthinkable, that is. There's a long way between now and then. Let's see. How about we just see everybody at a gaming centre or a gaming event, a tournament soon, and it'd be good to catch up and talk games and talk minis.
Yeah, and grab your Clash of Kings tickets if you want to go, because
absolutely,
they may have gone by the time we finish this.
Yeah, correct. But we will be putting them up. We've only put 3 quarters up because of the social distancing. There's going to be lots of events going on in the summer. We know there's a lot of pent up demand for getting on your games and rolling some dice.
I'd love to do a Clocks of War, Kings of War one, which is one where you go from 25 minutes to 20 minutes to 15 minutes, something like that. I think that would be great to do that here. So, and we can do those kind of smaller tournaments as well. I think that's what we'll be doing.
I have those running here, and I think over the weekends, keep watching the events on at HQ, because there'll be people on each weekend. If Matt's championing one, or you are, or I am, we'll be down there hanging around. As soon as that license is open, I will be there every weekend.
Only when the license is.
Yeah, correct. Until then, I'm interested.
But no, that'll be good, I think, and I think it's nice to see, particularly on the Mantic page, the events section is actually starting to fill up with events again. So.
And that's a sign of optimism, isn't it? Yeah. I think just getting gaming. So I think everyone, look after yourselves, stay safe. We're nearly there, and I hope that the restrictions end and we're in a position to allow ourselves to get gaming soon.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, Ronnie. Happy birthday. Enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. See you on the 10th of April.